¿Busca atención médica instantánea de alta calidad? Planned Parenthood League of Massachusetts tiene opciones de telesalud para servicios de atención sexual y reproductiva, opciones anticonceptivas, pruebas de STI en el hogar, terapia hormonal de afirmación de género y aborto con medicamentos, donde quiera y cuando quiera en el estado de Massachusetts. Visite pplm.org/telehealth para hacer una cita. Cuidado sin importar la razón.
Blog Talk Radio.
Hi, my name is Matthew E. O'Neill, O''N''E''I''L. I'm the former top-rated writer for Everipedia Incorporated. I wrote 1,000 articles for Everipedia Incorporated from 2019 until 2022. Many of my articles can still be found on the Google and Bing.com search engines. My articles can also be found on the Facebook groups Everipedia Archives. I graduated from Plymouth North High School on June 4th, 1994. I was ranked in the top quarter of my high school graduating class. Upon graduation, I passed 30 credits in 1994 and 1995. I enlisted in the U.S. Air Force on active duty. I was a communications computer systems operator in Air Force Space Command for 3 years. While on Schriever Air Force Base, I did hardware and software installations and also worked at the Base Communications Center unassisted. When I was in the military on active duty, I competed in USA boxing sanctioned matches, beating Preston Hartzog and Jeffrey Dockin. Upon completion of my military service, I was employed by Harvard University in my mid-20s. I then went to graduate school and competed for Clark County Commission in 2006 in Nevada against Rory Reid. Reid ran for the governor of Nevada in 2010, and the Las Vegas airport was named after Rory Reid's father, Harry Reid, in 2019. Since 2012, I've been a registered Republican, voting for Republicans. I created over 1,000 articles for the company and gained millions of views. Everipedia Incorporated was located on 201 Wilshire Boulevard, Suite 314 in Santa Monica, California for years. The company has since been rebranded IQ Wiki, but many of the articles have still been archived. During the Minneapolis riots of 2020, many people were killed and tens of millions of dollars or possibly hundreds of millions of dollars in property damage was incurred. This occurred because an African-American named George Floyd was a victim of a horrible crime. He was killed by Derek Chauvin. Chauvin was a cop for many years, and he decided to strangle and kill George Floyd. I created the George Floyd Everipedia article. George Floyd was born on October 14th, 1973, and died May 25th, 2020. He was a rapper and convicted felon from the 3rd Ward, Houston, Texas. He was part of DJ Screw's Screwed Up Clique and has appeared on numerous mixtapes. Criminal history of violence and had spent time in prison. On May 25, 2020, Floyd died during an encounter with Minneapolis Police Department officer Derek Chauvin, sparking national outrage. His death led directly to the Minneapolis riots of May 2020. Floyd was born in North Carolina but moved with his family to Houston's 3rd Ward when he was a baby. He has a sister named Bridget and a daughter, Gianna, with a woman named Roxy Washington. He has another daughter as well, but her name and mother have been kept private. He was also close friends with former NBA star Steven Jackson and grew up with him in Houston. Floyd attended Yates High School in Texas. He played football and basketball. He was a starting tight end on his high school's football team and made it to the state's championship. He was an outstanding athlete and received a basketball scholarship to Florida State University, but terminated his studies early and returned to Houston. In the 1990s, when he returned from university, Floyd began making music with the Screwed Up Click, a hip-hop group led by legendary Houston musician DJ Screw. He used to go by the stage name Big Floyd. He left Houston for Minneapolis after struggling to find work. He worked as a truck driver and bouncer at El Nuevo Rodeo in Minneapolis to support his family. Floyd was killed by a Minneapolis Police Department officer while 3 others marched on May 25, 2020. A prayer vigil was held the night of May 26, 2020 in Houston's Emancipation Park with Floyd's family in attendance. A video of the event went viral, showed Officer Derek Chauvin kneeling on Floyd's neck as he pleaded for help, repeatedly saying he could not breathe before eventually losing consciousness. Bystanders begged the officer to remove his knee before and after Floyd goes silent. The officer did not move for at least 8 minutes, at which point paramedics carried Floyd away. The officer claimed that Floyd was resisting arrest, but a video showed that aired on CBS News LA showed the beginning of his arrest, where he complied. Another video shows the other 3 officers on the scene pinning Floyd down. The 4 officers that were involved, Derek Chauvin and 3 others. Medics said they checked Floyd's pulse in the ambulance numerous times, finding none. Mayor Jacob Free tweeted on May 26, 2020, that the 4 officers involved had been fired. There actually was a prior relationship between George Floyd and Derek Chauvin. George Floyd and fired police officer Derek Chauvin knew each other before the fatal encounter. Minneapolis City Council Vice President Andrea Jenkins told CNN and MSNBC that Floyd and Chauvin were longtime co-workers who worked security at the same bar, El Nuevo Rodeo. Former bar owner Maya Santa Maria said Chauvin worked off-duty security outside for 17 years, while Floyd worked inside the bar. Santa Maria also said she sold the club back in 2020. Chauvin was convicted in 2021 on state charges of second-degree unintentional murder, third-degree murder, and second-degree manslaughter in Floyd's 2020 death. He was sentenced to 22.5 years, a sentence higher than the presumptive 12.5 years after the judge agreed with prosecutors that there were aggravating factors in Floyd's death. Now, that article that I created, George Floyd, can be found on the Google.com and Bing.com search engines. His name is spelled Georgefloyd, George Floyd. And the George Floyd Everipedia article that I created has 4,000 views. I took time to add pictures, George's high school yearbook photograph, picturing him in a tuxedo and picturing him in his football jersey. There's also a mural for George Floyd. George Floyd had some negative characteristics, of course, but a lot of people loved that individual and cared about him. He came from a large family that cared about him, and he had some very strong attributes. He did not deserve to die that day, and it was a real shame and tragedy that occurred on that day. I also created the Derek Chauvin Everipedia page. The Derek Chauvin police officer Everipedia page that I created has 20,000 views. Derek Chauvin was born on March 19, 1976. He's a former American police officer who served in the Minneapolis Police Department. He received international media attention in late May 2020 after he killed George Floyd over his alleged use of a counterfeit $20 bill. Officer Chauvin knelt on Floyd's neck for at least 7 minutes while he was handcuffed and lying chest down on the road. Chauvin's murder of Floyd sparked outrage across America and contributed to the Minneapolis riots of May 2020. On May 29, 2020, Derek Chauvin was arrested and charged with third-degree murder and manslaughter in the killing of George Floyd. On Monday, June 8, 2020, Chauvin had his bail set at up to $1.25 million. A judge set an unconditional bail at $1.25 million for the $1 million with conditions. Chauvin had been an officer in the Minneapolis Police Department since around 2001. He had 18 complaints on his official record, 2 of which ended in discipline from the department, including official letters of reprimand. He had been involved in 3 police shootings, one of which was fatal. Part of the arrest was filmed by a bystander and streamed on Facebook Live. When the video starts, George Floyd is already pinned chest down to the ground, and Officer Chauvin is kneeling on his neck. Floyd repeatedly tells Chauvin, "Please, I can't breathe," while also moaning, groaning, and sobbing. A bystander tells the police, "You got him down, let him breathe." After Floyd says, "I'm about to die," Chauvin tells Floyd to relax. The police ask Floyd, "What do you want?" Floyd repeats, "I can't breathe." Floyd continues, "Please, the knee in my neck, I can't breathe." He begs, "Don't kill me." A bystander points out that Floyd is bleeding from his nose. Another bystander tells the police that Floyd is not even resisting arrest. The police tell the bystanders that Floyd was talking, he's fine. Floyd eventually goes silent and motionless, but Chauvin does not lift his knee from Floyd's neck. The bystanders protest that Floyd was not responsive and repeatedly ask the police to check Floyd's pulse. An ambulance eventually arrives, and Chauvin does not remove his knee until emergency medical services put Floyd's unresponsive body on a stretcher. The body is loaded into the ambulance and taken away. Now, Derek Chauvin has had previous use of force incidents and misconduct. Chauvin has been involved in numerous use of force incidents over his career. In 2006, Chauvin and 5 others responded to a stabbing after Wayne Reyes allegedly pulled his shotgun on the officers. In 2008, Chauvin shot and wounded Ira Latrell Tolles during a domestic assault case. In 2011, he was one of 5 officers after a police-involved shooting. So obviously, Derek Chauvin was a police officer that had been reprimanded many times, and I detailed that in the article that I created, which is on the Bing and Google.com search engines. On May 29, 2020, Chauvin was arrested and charged with the murder and killing of George Floyd. Looting and arrest. Shortly after George Floyd's death, protests that devolved into looting and riots took place in the streets of Minneapolis. Other protests popped up all across the country. Officers at one point formed a human shield around the residence of Derek Chauvin as angry protesters gathered outside. It was reported that protesters were blocking food delivery for the police officer. Many businesses were destroyed, and at one point the Minneapolis Police Department was set on fire. Charges. On Monday, June 8, 2020, Chauvin had his first court appearance. The $1 million conditional bail requires Chauvin to appear for all future court appearances. Chauvin was convicted in 2021 on state charges of second-degree unintentional murder, third-degree murder, and second-degree manslaughter. He was sentenced to 22.5 years. Derek Chauvin also had a tax evasion trial in 2021. That's not part of the article that I created. To the listeners on Blog Talk Radio, please go to Google.com and type in George Floyd Everipedia and Derek Chauvin Everipedia. Everipedia is spelled Everipedia. I proudly created both the Derek Chauvin and George Floyd Everipedia articles, which have 24,000 views. Everipedia was located on 201 Wilshire Boulevard, Suite 314 in Santa Monica, California for years. It's a company that was rebranded IQ Wiki. It has an internet encyclopedia, but it is still also a cryptocurrency.